man, it's gonna be funny.
All right. Hello, everybody. We are in the green room with Steffen Kuehn. Steffen, how are you?
I'm good, Jeff. Man, thanks for having me. This is really fun. I was looking forward to this.
Okay. Well, this has been, you are third batter. You are the cleanup batter of the trumpet players. I've had 3 trumpet players in a row. You're batting cleanup. Okay. So we had Wayne. He's like on third base.
Yeah.
And then John Worley's he's like on second. And who's on first? No,
Jeff Lewis.
Who's on first?
Jeff Lewis, man. It was
No,
Jeff
who? No, who is on first?
Oh, who's on first? I don't know.
I'm sorry,
I'm not from here, man. I don't know baseball.
You don't know that comedy routine that who's on first, I don't know's on second, what's on third base. All right. So anyway,
let's move on, man.
All right.
Hey, by the way, man, putting me on after Wayne the day after is not fair. All right. Just to get that off my chest, because I have no stories to tell.
Oh, you've got plenty. You've got plenty. Well, first, before I get into how I know you, the song we opened with, that song was off your new PMO record.
Correct. Yeah, it's called Mi Carnival.
And there is going to be some real stuff that you can tell me there. But the first thing I need to do, I need to set up how you and I have this thing going back and forth. And unfortunately, our friend Jamie Brewer is involved in this. And the whole reason is this is how we met. And I want everybody to know why Steffen always says to me, "You're killing me." And this is why. I think, when did you first move to San Francisco?
The very first time was 95. I was here for a heartbeat for about 6 months. And then I moved back to Germany for about 2.5 to short of 3 years. And then I came back Christmas of 97.
Okay.
That's what it was.
So I must have met you in 98 or something.
Yeah.
Right. And I called you for a gig, and I had this big old long rough day. And the band was playing but first I got to say, the volume, I think I'm hearing myself back on your speaker every now and then.
Okay. Well,
so anyway, so I'm going to set this up. We were playing at the Peacock Court in the Mark Hopkins Hotel. I had Todd and maybe John Gove or somebody, and the whole band was there. You were the only guy I'd never met. I'd had this really rough day, and I walked up, and in my heartfelt way, I was telling everybody how absolutely grateful I was that they were all there, and I'm so happy you're here, and you're making my day really good. Everybody but Steffen. And I look right at you.
Oh,
we had never met, and you were like, "What the hell?"
Man, that came so out of left field, man. I do remember that. And I was like, Jesus Christ, really? How much does this gig pay?
Well, I got to say, it was just a perfect setup. And now, you weren't the only person that I've done stuff like that to, but it was so brilliant. I mean, it just could not have worked out better. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you're actually a really nice guy, because I know some guys that might have punched me or left the gig.
Or both. And take your money.
Pay me, you mofo. Pay me. I'm leaving, and here, and smack me in the head. So,
Well, it was the beginning of a beautiful love relationship, man. That's all I can say.
well, if one of us, well, if we were either gay or if one of you was a female, if one of us were female and we were in a relationship, or if we were standing next to each other, people would say, uh,
Oh.
"Are you guys married? Are you, we sort of act like a married couple sometimes."
Oh man, yeah. And ever since then, we would just go at it every single time.
Yeah,
It's
pretty much.
really, really, really good, And I mean, the shit that I've been throwing back at you, a lesser person would have totally fired me many times, many times.
But see,
Oh man.
I deserve it.
Oh, totally, totally. And then you can take it, so it's good. It's good, man. It's good.
between you and Todd Dickow and Dave Martell,
Yeah.
the three of you, and I'm not even going to bring Jamie up because in case he's tuned in, I don't want to even get him started. But between the three of you, there have been more of the best one-liners ever
Oh,
that
dude.
couldn't come at a band leader. And one of my favorite ones was with Todd when he was playing a sax solo when but no, there my app just went crazy for a minute. Maybe because it didn't want me to tell the Todd story. But
Todd hacked into it, man.
right, so Todd was playing a solo and he was stomping his foot really hard. And I after the song was over, it's like, geez, great solo, Todd, but your foot was as loud as my bass drum. And he said, "Oh, wait a minute. Okay, let me get us back up here. Come on. See, the app is telling me don't tell this story."
Don't go there. Okay, maybe
It's a
you
good
should.
story when I get to there. So Todd's response to me telling him his foot was as loud as my bass drum, his response was, "Yeah, and out of time as your bass drum too."
Oh, nice one.
That was a really good one. Okay.
Yeah, Todd.
Right. Okay. So now that's the start of this beautiful relationship that we've had. But
Right.
uh, before you came to San Francisco, even the first time, and now you grew up in Germany, right?
Yeah, born and raised. Yeah.
And did you go to college or school there? Tell me about that because I don't think I ever heard that story.
No, I mean, how many people are watching at this point?
Uh, Nobody.
Oh man, that's killing me. Really?
No,
Jesus
there,
Christ.
there's like 5 people just solidly locked in.
Okay, perfect time to bare my soul.
Oh,
No, born in Mannheim. Okay, and then when I was 10 years old, the parents moved down further south to a city called Freiburg, which is the let's call it the metropolitan city in the Black Forest region, and it borders France and Switzerland. We're right in the corner, down in the very south of Germany. It's the most southern part and the most sunniest part as well. and that's where I grew up. So I don't really remember Mannheim. I was young. I don't know. It's not much recollection. And then I kind of grew up in a small village, really outside of Freiburg, and like right there in the Black Forest region, more or less. I walked out of the door and I wasn't, basically in the mountains, more or less. And I went to, my elementary school there. So fourth grade through 13th grade. So I went to high school.
mhm.
Uh, graduated from high school, and I was playing music back then. Started when I was about 16 with a rock band. I was playing bass, okay,
You started as a bass player.
electric bass, okay.
That explains
I
everything.
know, Jamie, if you're listening, I know what's up, man. I know all the fingerings and the frets, and I was singing.
No.
Thank the Lord, it was before YouTube and Facebook, man. There's no evidence of anything. Thank God. I was 14, man. I was playing an open air festival, and I was rocking out on the bass, and I was singing some Judas Priest and AC/DC stuff, man.
No.
Yeah, I was 14, 15, man, and there are photos, but I'm not gonna show
I
them.
want
No,
I want
no,
photos.
no. It'll cost you way more money that you make in a year, which is not much. I know that.
Oh, I got $5, dude.
Yeah. So anyway, man, so that was that. And then when I was 16, I picked up the trumpet again. You know, I had stopped during my bass playing times. So I picked up my trumpet and I started playing with this funk band. And that was the time when I kind of started hearing about El Giro, Earth, Wind and Fire, Shaka Khan, you know, and when Wayne mentioned Sea Wind, Sea Breeze, no,
See wind.
Sea Wind horns, that was very, very influential to me as well. You know,
Yeah.
so we were listening to all those records, and we're trying to emulate that sound. So it was a soul band, all original, and we were fairly successful. We opened up for Carlos Santana, man, for like 30,000 people when I was 18, and that kind of gave me a taste of, you know, being on the big stage and how it feels like and how cool it really is. I saw Carlos backstage, you know, and it was like a moment in time that was really, it's like, man, I really want to do this more, you
And
know.
you were 18?
What's that?
You were like 18 or something then?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, this band was really successful in the south of Germany. Like really, we were playing quite a bit, and it was a good band, you know.
Yeah.
And then of course it broke up, and uh, and then I was like, now what? You know, it's like it was like this really like we were flying high, kind of successful, you know. And it broke up, and I was like, man, I gotta get out of town somehow and do something bigger, you know. So I bought a ticket and I flew to New York. You know, just no plan, just trumpet and you know.
A backpack and a trumpet and you go to
Yeah,
New York.
yeah, and I just landed. I barely spoke the language, and I hung out for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, and I took some lessons with Charles Collins, who's like a trumpet guru, and
Mhm.
another trumpet player that used to play with Lester Bowie, um, uh, trumpet player. So I took lessons and I went to jazz clubs and I was completely hooked, man. I was like, America, it's got to be America. You know, I was 21 at that point, and then I had to, you know, I wanted to go to New York, and it was way too expensive. I wanted to go to school, you know, and go for a jazz education, you know, and I just, you know, that was before email and anything, so I was writing letters, you know, and then it took like another 2 weeks for a letter to come back, and you know, it was complicated, and but it turned out that New York was way too expensive for me, you know, back then, and I needed to make my own money. The parents, you know, we didn't have money for that, so I needed to work and, you know, save money, and then somebody told me about North Texas, a trombone player in Stuttgart, and he says, "Hey, check this out." And he had like a tape cassette, right? And he popped it into his tape recorder or tape player, and he played the 1 o'clock lab band. He played the 19 whatever it was 80 something 1 o'clock lab band, and I was just like, oh my god! And I had never heard anything like it. I was like, okay, sold. So it took me another year and a half to make the money, you know. So I had saved up 8,000 Deutschmarks, enough for 1 year, and that was the plan. You know, that was the money I had. That's how much it cost. So the plan really was 1 year, you know, pack everything in that I could related to jazz, arranging small group, big band, and then, you know, come back to Germany. And then I started the semester, and I realized this is where I need to be. You know, I was just, I caught fire, and I was like, man, I got to stay here. You know, and I went to all my professors, you know, and I you know, begged, please give me a scholarship, because it really depended on like the out of state tuition and the in state tuition in Texas. With in state, then they said, okay, so they gave me scholarships for the second year, and I started working. You know, I actually worked in the language department. I taught German, and I started gigging a little bit. You know, and I was poor, man. I was really poor, but I managed, and so I did my 5 years, and
You did 5 years at North Texas State.
yeah, yeah.
So when you said that was in the early 80s.
No, that was 88 to 93, actually.
So what that was after Lyle Mays and that
Yeah,
crew.
yeah,
Still
yeah,
a great school though. I mean, North Texas State was.
yeah. I mean, it just kicked my ass. I'm telling you, man. So on the third day, right? On the third day, I had barely unpacked my luggage, right? And so there was a German contingency of about like 7, 8 Germans that were already there. They were studying there, and they heard that another German had come to campus. So they looked me up and it's like, hey, let's go, let's hear the 1 o'clock lab band play. And it was on my third day, I remember. So we went down into that lounge, and the 1 o'clock was playing, and I was just like, okay. And I was like, okay, either I go back home, pack pack up and fly right back to Germany and stay there, or I gotta work like I've never worked before, and commit completely to this if I ever want to be as good as these guys are. So that was kind of like a light bulb really went off, and I was like, okay, this is different here. This is like a whole different ball game.
Kind of intimidating, huh?
Okay, kinda, dude. It was insane. I mean, I was so far away from all of that. I was really bad. I realized I really suck. You know, down there in that lounge, it was like, okay, I really suck. I have nothing to offer.
Well, at least you got better. I don't have any excuse. At least you got better.
I got better a little bit, yeah. So anyway, that's that story, man. This is how I came here. This is how I stayed here, and then
So, did you graduate with a degree from North Texas State?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you want to teach with it or anything like that?
No, I went for performance, man. It's a music degree, and let me see, it's right here. It says Bachelor of Music. Bachelor of Music. It's right there.
Wow.
Yeah,
Maybe
and it doesn't help at all.
if you would have shown that to me for the gig, I might have let you play a few more solos.
Oh, now you're telling me. Okay, all right.
So did you stay there long after school, or what'd you do? Did you have a plan right after you graduated?
Well, after school, the school gives the foreign or the international students, they give you a year, or back then they gave you a year, like a green card for a year. So it's limited, so you can travel, you can pick up a road gig or a tour. And I decided to work on the cruise ship.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, dude.
you paid some dues then.
I paid my dues. Yeah,
Okay. All
yeah.
right.
Listen, man, well, first of all, I met my wife on the cruise ship. Okay.
Really? What was Mary doing?
She was a passenger service representative. So she had officer status, her
Oh,
own cabin, and access to a lot of drink. So
right. So did you have to sneak into her room so
all
you
right.
wouldn't be kicked off?
Okay, how many people are watching now?
Okay. So, those of us who worked on a cruise ship, we know that the musicians were slightly below passenger status. And
Yeah.
right. And
Oh yeah.
if you were messing with somebody that's got like officer status or passenger status, then you could get thrown off the boat.
Oh, you toast, man. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. No, it was. I don't know, man. I mean, no, there were no incidents as such. But it was good times, man. As you know, I mean, you basically you party a lot, and right after 5 years of college and university, man, I was ready to let loose a little bit. I studied hard, and this was the time to just you know relax a little bit.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So, which band did you play? Did you play in the show band, the lounge band, or?
We only had one band, man. It was a cruise line called Royal Cruise Lines. They're defunct now. Not Royal Caribbean, Royal Cruise Lines. They had 3 ships, and they were Greek officers.
Oh,
Greek, yeah, Greek ship. So there was one band. We played everything. We played jazz sets. We played, Captain Cocktails Party, and we played the shows, and yeah, and then we played a couple 3 hours a night, and then the days were free, and you know how that goes, you know.
yes, absolutely. And
Uh,
so, how long did you do the cruise ship?
I did that for a year. I did 3 contracts.
And
So
they were four-month contracts for
yeah,
you?
3 months, 4 months, and then I actually played Carnival Cruise Lines in between my fourth and my fifth year during the summertime, and I cruised the Caribbean, and I ran out of money, so that was like an
Mm.
opportunity to make some cash, and and that kind of tied me over, so I could finish the fifth year, and then I did the Royal Cruise Line gig. Then I had like a stint in Cancun with a Latin band for 3 months, so that was cool. Stayed in a hotel and we played 6 nights a week in Cancun. So that was another cruise ship on land, kind of. It was just Jesus Christ.
A
I
res-
unbelievable that I survived. That sort of thing.
I mean, no, see, here's the thing. If you're in a party, if you're in a party mode, those kinds of places are there, there's barely time to play. There's barely time to actually play music
Yeah,
because everything else is
yeah,
it, you
yeah.
know,
I know.
wait a minute, I gotta, my hit is in like 5 minutes. I gotta go, and you
Oh, dude,
just,
oh, dude, and you start sleeping late, man. We had like this one dude in the band, and he was like he would wake up like 5 minutes before downbeat, like at 7:55, and that's how he looked and that's how he sounded. It's just like,
right.
and I had enough brain power left to realize that this was not an ascending trajectory. This was really a descending trajectory in my short career.
Oh, well, Wayne was telling a little bit last night about the time when I was on with him, and he and um, Mike, the trombone player, and there was a handful of guys that were always testing the rules. Like the night when they got off the ship, or they were supposed to stay on the ship, but they stayed in St. Thomas and then took a plane to. I mean, those are the kinds of things. See,
Yeah,
so as musicians, when we're doing those gigs, it's oh man, there's I when I got done off of my couple of years, I went back to my home in Nebraska and I said, I'm just going to sit here for 2 months and try to get my morals and all of my my sanity. I'm going to try to pull all that back together and realize I
yeah. It,
know
it fell a little short, I can tell, but you did all right, man. You did okay.
dude, and I wasn't even drinking. I I was straight as an arrow,
Yeah,
but I lost my moral compass
yeah,
many times.
yeah, yeah. I hear you, man. It was pretty crazy, man. And the thing really is, there's no responsibilities on the ship. I mean, except 8 o'clock downbeat.
Right.
You don't have to go grocery shopping. You don't have to pay rent. You don't have to wash your clothes. People make your bed. It's just like, this is cool. You
It's
know,
heaven.
this is cool. It's like I grew up. This is like I'm back in mom's house. It's like everything is done for me. You
And
know,
you got a paycheck.
and you get a paycheck. So it's a lethal combination, really.
Well, it is. It is for those of us that can head down the rabbit hole in a hurry. It only takes a second. But you met Mary there, and you and Mary
Yeah.
have been together how long now?
Dude, we're gonna be married for 22 years next month.
Wow. And
Yeah.
all in a row?
Yes.
It's,
Now, when you say all in a row, now what were you aiming for?
well, I mean, some people get married and then they leave each other for a while, then they come back and then they leave each other, then they come back. But you've actually stayed married all in
Yeah.
it was a bad attempt at humor.
No,
Oh,
no, no. Okay, no, no. Well, I mean, it is a cruise ship relationship.
oh,
And so I think your question was valid
okay,
in that sense.
okay.
But no, I mean, listen, man, we've been really, really great for the whole time, and we're still great, and we're doing really well, and it's
Yeah.
all good.
Well, I remember. Let's get in between those. So you did the cruise ship, and then how'd you end up in San Francisco?
Well, the cruise ship docked in San Francisco, and
Okay.
I put my foot on land, and there was something, man, that was just like something. There was just something going on. Something was like this is just cool, and I hadn't even walked around, or I might have walked around a little bit. It's like I loved it. Okay, I really loved it, and I thought this was the greatest place. Golden Gate Bridge, water. I love being close to water. I saw mountains. I love being close to mountains. This seemed to be just like really a perfect place, and I realized, when I went out at nighttime and I tried to pick up work and stuff, I was like, hey, there's first of all, there's a scene.
Mhm.
Second of all, there's great players here, and it just felt like it felt like home pretty quickly. I was like, I don't want to be anywhere else.
Mm.
I don't need to be anywhere else. I wanted to stay here. I wanted to be here, and that's what I ended up doing. You know.
Did did and that was in I'm trying to
All
collect.
right.
So
Okay. So there's a little break in between, like the 2.5 years in between when I moved back to Munich.
okay, so you went back home for a bit. Now,
Yeah. Reason. Sorry.
oh, so and I was just trying to. So Mary, did you met Mary on the ship and
Yeah.
date and all that kind of stuff between during all that time?
Well, I mean, she was still. I mean, I had basically 6 months on land as far as being legal.
Oh, okay.
I had 6 more months a visa. And Mary would go back on the cruise ship for a couple of weeks, come back, and I had a little pad in San Francisco. So when she was gone, I would stay in a little pad in San Francisco. I had a little room there on Hayes Street, actually. And when she would be back, and she was in Oakland, I would come over and spend time with her. And then after 6 months, I was like, okay, gotta go,
Yeah.
gotta go. And I had to like pack my bags and start over. And this time I moved to Munich because I had a couple of friends from North Texas. They had moved back to Munich, so I had little connection there, not much though. So, but I had to start over more or less.
Mm,
And it was painful, man. That was a painful time in my life. It's like I didn't like it at all. Didn't like it, man. And I was with Mary, and we had a long distance relationship before Skype and before texts. Man, the phone bills, man, they were like horrendous, dude. They were like astronomical.
yeah, it wouldn't take what was it? Especially if you tried to get a hold of her on the ship or something. I think there was one time when I tried to call somebody on the ship or call from the ship.
Yeah.
It was like $10 a minute or something.
Oh, dude, it was horrendous, man. I had like $400 or $500 bills per month. It
Yeah,
was, I couldn't afford it.
right?
It came down to that. It's like, sorry, gotta go. It's like this phone call was $100 or whatever it was back then. It was really a tough time, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
and
when you're not with somebody you love or somebody you want to be with, and
yeah,
music scene isn't filling you up,
yeah,
and I totally get it because
mm,
I did a short bit when I got off the ship and when I was back in Nebraska. And my biggest fear was I would have nightmares, and they still come to me today, of waking up and I'm in Nebraska and like, oh shit, how am I going to get back to California?
uh,
I mean, it's a
yeah,
real nightmare.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I know that feeling. I really do. And it was, I mean, I acclimated, and I made connections. I started playing, and I started making money, and but my heart was not there, and I was very aware of that.
Mm.
Every time I was playing, it's like, okay, so I got money, but it didn't mean anything to me. It didn't work. It didn't substitute. It was not a substitute. It just, and then end of '97, and we called and said, hey, I said I can leave like yesterday.
Mhm.
There's nothing that holds me back here in Munich. And she said, okay, come back. And then I came back, and then we got married. And that took care of
Yeah.
the legal aspects.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was that thing, man. That was kind of it.
And I have to say that when I first went to San Francisco, I felt the same way.
Oh,
I
yeah,
felt home. And
yeah,
even though I'm in Burbank and I love Burbank, I still feel like I'm away from home.
really.
It's really weird. When I go back to San Francisco and I'm hanging out, I still feel like home. And even though it
Yeah,
was 80 when I first went there.
yeah,
Um, so anyway, then that brings me right to then we met. That's when we met, just shortly after that.
yeah. And you know what happened? Do you remember Greg Little?
Yes.
So basically, Greg Little, the trumpet player, left town, and I just jumped right into what he had left. I took his teaching gig. I took over his teaching gig. I got hooked up with you. I got hooked up with Julio Bravo, the salsa band leader. That was all Greg's work. So
Well,
for me, it was like a complete shoe-in.
well, I set that up for you.
Oh, you did?
You know, I actually, Greg and I stay in touch. I've done a couple of shows in Orlando,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Greg contracts the musicians for me there.
Uh-huh.
And I actually want to have him on the show so I can continue my run of trumpet players. You know, but you're right. I think he moved to Florida about the same time you pulled into town.
It was exactly, I mean, I met him maybe, let me see. I met him on a gig. Okay, so I was the new guy in town.
Mhm.
And as he checked me out, he checked out my playing. We had a little chat, and he says, "Hey, man, so there's like this teaching gig. You should call this guy, and then there's like this band leader, blah blah blah." And man, it's like, and a week later he was gone, and I was in.
Wow, that worked out great.
That
So
worked out great.
so other than the gigs, and I don't have. I wish I could show some of the band pictures that I took with you.
Oh, I have some.
Oh, do you you know,
The glitter stuff, man. Oh,
oh yeah, right. We got some of that stuff, man. I mean, they were we had some fun times. And
absolutely.
then I left though in 2008, and my band started kind of tapering off. But you've been really active uh,
Mhm.
in these last few years, especially now. You're still doing a lot of teaching, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
And
I enjoy it more than ever. Like the private teaching. I put it out to the universe that I want to attract really like great students, like personality wise and playing wise. And it's really I got great kids, man. I love every single one of them, and they're all cool. They're really cool. And the
yeah,
ones that aren't, they're gone. You know, it's just a natural. It's like I don't know, man. I'm very happy with the kids that I have. They're
yeah.
great. Some of them are fantastic players. Really great.
Are you teaching at a store out there, or
Yeah, yeah,
which store is that? The same store that Dane taught at,
yeah.
and that
But
whole
Dane got me that job at the House of Woodwinds,
oh
which just closed down end of February.
oh
Man,
oh wow.
yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit other. I I want to get to the Pacific Mama Orchestra because for some odd reason you've decided to be a band leader. What 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 would make you want to do? You've got somebody you're doing it with, but who wants to? Come on. Let me.
Yeah,
I-
that's a good question. I think it came from I wanted to create a working environment that I wanted to work in personally.
Mm.
Okay, from all the years that I've played and all the things that I've seen and all the bullshit I've been exposed to, I wanted to create an environment that does not have that. I wanted to create something that where everybody feels respected,
Mm-hmm.
where everybody gets paid. I mean, obviously with a big band, you know, but I mean we're paying above average. You know, we're getting gigs, or we're only accepting gigs that uh, uh, guarantee a certain amount of money per musician. You know, and Christian, my partner, musical partner, we were very clear from the beginning on that we wanted this to be just stellar, not just musically, but personality wise, that everybody feels taken care of, that nobody needs to trip over getting paid, you know, all that kind of shit that
Yeah.
we've been through, both of us, so many times. You know, it's like, yeah, you have to go through the back entrance, you know, and then
Yeah.
you're like next to the kitchen and there's nothing for you there. There's no food, you know, and everybody's hungry and gets cranky, you know. And I was just like, I want to create something that is not like that, you know. And so feeling good, creating great music, and playing with friends. Like I wanted the best of the best of the best for this band.
But you didn't call me.
I didn't call you because you don't play congas, or
And
do you?
no,
Have you
no,
been holding back all these years, man? Are you a conga player?
no, no. I would suck in that band, you know. But I have good jokes.
Okay.
Um, but you know, based on the pictures I see of you guys, you every picture you put on Facebook or anything of the band and your trips, I mean, it's like it's a laugh fest. It's like a party. It's like everybody
Yeah.
got these. Nobody's looking all down and bummed out.
No.
Like,
No.
oh God, here's another gig.
No. No. And it really. I think it really. Everything comes from the top. You know, it doesn't come from the bottom up. You know, I mean, leadership, and I've learned so much, and I'm really really grateful for all the experiences that this project has taught me. You know, like what does it mean to be a leader? You know, I mean, like how seriously will you take the responsibility of really caring for your musicians first?
Right.
You know, and that's always been my thing. I care about the musicians first. Like, are you cool? Do you have food? You know, so here's the check right before the gig. You know, it's like always making sure. I mean, making sure there's money in the bank so the check doesn't bounce. All that.
So, in other words, you're trying to be the opposite of me.
Well, it's what I mean. I didn't want to go there, but now that you went there, it's like I had the perfect anti-example
Right.
of
Right.
how not to do it. No, man. No, it was. No, man, Jeff, it was always cool, man. Your
Yeah.
gigs were always cool, man.
But okay, so I'm going to interrupt you for a minute because
Yeah,
I before you did this, you sort of headed down the Braxton Brothers thing with some smooth jazz stuff.
yeah, yeah.
And this used to piss me off. I used to get angry at you and I'd send you angry texts because I had a smooth jazz playlist
Yeah.
and I would play every smooth jazz, all the cool shit. And then I'm going to play this right now. I think this is the tune. I got it queued up. You just listen.
Oh no.
Listen. You can hear that. Okay, so we all know that's our buddy Nelson Braxton on bass.
That's right.
And I play that, and that song is in that smooth jazz playlist. And I would text you this, and I'm like, dude, every time that song comes up, people come up and say, "Who is that? Who is that?" And I go, "Oh, that's my buddy Steffen Kuehn." They go, "Wow, where can I get that?" I am not kidding. You remember? And I
Yeah,
text
yeah, yeah. I
that.
do remember that. Yeah,
And
yeah. That was a big. I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you, Jeff. Go ahead, please.
no, well, here's the thing: is I actually use that song now based on how it sounds sonically. You know, there's always this joke in sound guy world, and this is true, where a sound guy was doing a gig one time and a musician walked up and said, "Why you guys always got to play Steely Dan, man, when you're testing the system?" And the answer is because it sounds sonically perfect.
Exactly.
So I stopped using Steely Dan because everybody knew it, and I started using that tune.
What?
And I am not kidding, because of the sound I get from the bass, it helps me test the subs, and
Uh-huh.
the sound of the snare and
Yeah.
the trumpet, it hits all of the sonic sounds I need to hear what the system sounds like.
Wow. And
And
you want to hear something cool?
yes, I do.
They're playing it on Sirius XM monthly to the day.
This record,
Yeah.
wow. It's a good record, dude. That is really something to be proud of. And the only thing that's a little sad, I think, is that world. And I talked a little bit with Nelson about this. It sort of just kind of went away in some ways.
Yeah. I mean, I keep track of it a little bit. I mean, I still like it a lot. Um, I I wouldn't go that smooth anymore. I'm working on a new record actually as we speak, and
Mm.
I'm trying to find that middle ground where you have that really slamming funk backbeat, you know, and the bass is funky as heck, and but with more jazz elements in it, you know, because I live in both worlds. You know, I live in the jazz world, I live in the Latin world, I live in the funk world or R&B world. So I've been trying to bring this together ever since then, you know. And I put out a record in 2016. It's called Leap of Faith, and I thought that was a good record too. But it was too scattered.
Mm.
You know, it was too scattered. I had like a George Cable's tune on it. Then I had like a straightforward smooth jazz tune on it. Then I had like a Yellow Jackets tune on it. So all music that I like, and I thought I could bring it together, but it kind of didn't. I don't know. It didn't go anywhere, unfortunately.
You know, it's interesting. I talk with Mark Austin about this on my show. We talk about telling stories,
Mm-hmm.
and I've learned that there's an aspect of telling, like right now, we're telling a story. You know, we're telling your story, and then we're telling small stories within stories. That's what people want to listen to,
Mm-hmm.
and and sometimes, and I was talking to my daughter about this last night. When you listen to a group of songs, you know, they kind of need to tell a story, and sometimes it, it it takes the right combination to tell the right story, and
Yeah.
sometimes, and you never really know. It feels good at the time, but
Yes.
you still got to take the chance.
Yeah. No, I mean, recording or writing music is really it's a mirror of the times we live in, you know, and it's a mirror of the person I am at that moment in time, you know. So it really does reflect me, like
Mhm.
every record I've done does really reflect me, I think. But of course, you know, if I go back to the Trump Up record, you know, I'm not that person anymore.
Mm.
Okay, like I'm so not that person anymore.
You know,
My
maybe
writing has changed. My playing has changed. You know, hopefully for the better. Yeah.
you know, maybe some lederhosen and a polka.
Been thinking about it, but I
I was-
can't find those damn Linos, man. They're nowhere to be found, man.
so so now we're going to jump into PMO, and I want to, I have the ability to play this, I believe.
Okay.
And so it's, and I'm pulling this off your, I'm going to explain to you what I'm doing. I'm playing going to pull this 2.5 minute deal you did off of your web. It's you and your I don't even, I've never met your other band leader guy.
Oh, Christian.
Christian, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little thing. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to play it so people can see it, and then we can talk about um, your Pacific Mambo Orchestra. But I really would like to share this with the people because
Yeah.
it's kind of cool, and it takes me a minute to set it up. So I'm talking over the top of you,
Mhm.
and it looks like we're going now. So uh, here it goes.
Hello, everyone. This is Christian Tumalan and Steffen Kuehn, co-leaders of the Grammy Award-winning Pacific Mama Orchestra.
And man, it's been an exciting whirlwind these past 2 years, and we're thrilled to introduce this new music to you.
We're proud to say that we stayed independent. In order to move the band forward this summer, we started putting finishing touches on material that we have recently written and arranged.
And we're now in the final stages of recording, editing, and mixing those tracks, which is really, really exciting.
We're convinced that this new recording will be a worthy follow-up to our debut album that won us the 2014 Grammy for Best Tropical Latin Album.
This new album will again feature guest artists like Sheila E., Nora Suzuki from Orquesta de la Luz, and Grammy winner Malo Rosado, each bringing their unique voices to this project.
We're extending to all our families, friends, fans the opportunity to be a part of the next PMO record.
Because without your support for our debut album, winning the Grammy would just not have been possible. You can pledge now and make sure that PMO can continue to put out extraordinary music true to Latin Big Band and its Afro-Cuban origins.
Pledge now and be part of this amazing project. You decide how you want to contribute by selecting one of the options here below.
Go PMO!
Okay, all right. Good, nice work, Steffen. I mean,
Thank you. We're having fun, man. We're having fun.
Yeah. Well, this is what I want to get back as soon as I get myself centered here after that. Okay. Back to the amount of, I don't think people really understand. In order for you to do that, to get a Grammy and to do the record and to do all the stuff, the kind of skill, the kind of work, the kind of time it takes to put all that together, to get the musicians to do the recording, to get the promo, to get the to lobby the Grammy people, and what kind of work that really goes in behind the scenes. You want to kind of fill us in on what some of that is? I mean, it's not just about playing trumpet anymore.
Oh God, no. This is like the least, it takes up the least amount of time, actually. It's really, it's almost, I mean, it's not a full-time job, obviously, but we don't have management. We have an agency, and I'm talking current now. So the agency pulls a gig and negotiates the fee, and then the agent says, okay, guys, here's a gig, here's the budget, go get it. Okay, so yeah, that's it. And we do not get money up front. So money's being held in escrow until the gig is over. So the agency will not give us money until the gig is done. So we have to front money. Like last year, we played at the Montreux Jazz Festival.
I saw that.
And dude, oh boy, it was I mean, challenging. It doesn't really cover it. It's like you got to book the flights. You got to make sure ground transportation is taken care of. And it's like we are management, Christian and I, and we didn't have the money they offered us very little money. So we had to apply for a grant for the National Endowments of the Arts, just to make money, just so we can do that. We got the grant, But after the fact, we didn't know that we were going to get it, So we were gambling, putting a lot of money on credit cards, so we just can do things.
The interesting thing is, because I've been there when I've tried my big band and things, and nobody really understands now. Tower, for example, they're in a different level. So what they have is they have a road manager, they have a tour manager, they have an agent, people to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And when you're doing what you're doing,
I have nothing.
You're doing all of it.
All of it.
What the knot you get in your stomach when you have to pay for all those flights,
yeah,
and the cars to get you to and from the airport and the hotel rooms, and you put it on a credit card, and if the money don't come in, dude, that is stress.
It was heavy. That was the heaviest one. Like the Montreux, that was our first international gig, but we were invited by the Montreux Jazz Festival. How can you not say yes to it?
Yes,
you have to. You have to. Okay,
right.
And it's just like one of those things where you're like, there are times in your life where you have to take a chance.
Yeah.
Okay? And that was one of the times where you have to take a chance and just say, whatever happens afterwards will happen. We just have to do this and make it work and make it happen. And it worked out, thank God. It could have gone in a different direction.
It could have, but it was fun. It was successful. Yeah. There's nothing more cool than saying, look, first of all, we won a Grammy. Now we're playing the Montreux Jazz Festival.
Oh, dude.
I mean,
you have no idea. You have no idea. I mean, it's beyond the wildest dreams. I mean, I wouldn't even dream about this because it was so far away and unattainable. I wouldn't even dream about this kind of stuff, and then it kind of started happening, and it's just been such a great journey, man. It's like really like life altering, life affirming. You take chances and you take risks, and karma, if you believe in karma or not, but it'll come back at you in one way or another if you're willing to put yourself forwards, in musical terms, and we wanted it, we just still want this so badly because it's so great. I mean, it's like the camaraderie, the music that we're playing, the music that we're recording, and it's such a high.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to throw this out there because I know you and I've known you for a while. But the reason why the success is going there and is paying off is because your heart and intentions are in the right place.
Yeah.
You started from the point of, I want this to be good. I want people to be treated fair. And you came from that place to start. And you did that because that's how you wanted to be treated and feel on the inside.
Exactly.
So now that's reflecting back to you. Now, had you started off going like, okay, I'm gonna put this thing together, I'm gonna make myself a shitload of money, and I don't, there's a different mindset, and so your heart was in the right place, your intentions in the right place, and you're seeing the fruits of that labor because that's where your thought process is, and the world is just reflecting back to you what you are on the inside.
Well, I mean, furthermore, Jeff, and I know you've been on this journey as well for many years now. Oh shit! I just lost my thought. It's a philosophy that's being transposed onto music. It's a life philosophy that I've been able to apply to music. It's like coming from the right space and being honest. And being spiritual, I mean, I certainly, man, when I stood on that stage in Montreux, and I look out at the lake and I knew that Miles was standing there in the same spot, man, something happened to me. I mean, there was like some spiritual stuff going on. I was full of that, that history of the place and the grandness of it. And I was so grateful in that moment, that
Yeah.
I could live through this moment. It was really special.
So I'll share with you because and why I'm doing this with people that I know and my friends because I can't, if I have somebody on, I'm not prepared to have somebody on that I don't know, because I can't I can't be emotional. Like right now, I just kind of came to tears.
Me too.
And I did this afternoon with John too, when John was telling me about, his life with Susan and all of that, and the life he has there. And I was feeling that as he was telling that story. And when you were just telling the story of standing on the stage and how it felt, and it sort of overcome, I was getting that inside here. I was going like, man, I feel it. I can feel what that must feel like to have. I've had a couple of moments when I've sat there and went, oh shit, I really did that.
Yeah.
So I can kind of relate, not in on that level in that situation, but I can only, and I was getting tears. I'm like, dude, man,
Oh.
it, because it does mean something. I mean, and it's kind of what we live for. We live for those kinds of moments, and
Yeah.
I'm really, I couldn't be.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's really huge.
It-
So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, and there've been many moments with PMO like that. It's like this is all against all odds.
Yeah.
That's like so against everything that is norm and everything that's supposed to happen. I mean, everything with PMO was always against, like, you know, against the current. I mean, winning the Grammy was just ridiculous. I mean, the chances you win the lottery are probably bigger than that. And it's just like, and then I don't know, man. There's like something with this band. That's, like I said, it's like there's a spirituality in that band. Where I think everybody in this band is connected to the universe in one way or another. I know that of our new female singer, Christelle. I don't know if she's listening, but I love her dearly, and and she's just, I know she's a spiritual being. The way she sings and the way she is, and she's just like this awesome human being. Mike Renta, I don't know if Mike is listening. Dude, with Mike, I have like the deepest conversations with no frills. We're going like right into the meat of things, always spiritual conversation, always, and Christian is a spiritual person as well. So there's, again, it comes from the top down, and if there's more to music than blowing air through a mouthpiece. I really believe that. It's like it touches people on so many levels. And that energy is reciprocated, towards the band and back and forth, and then how that is. It's like when you're playing in the zone, it's not music anymore. There's way more around that than music. And just being able to tap into that is just there's nothing else like it.
Yeah. Both you and John have said that today. If there's anything I can take away from having the two of you on today back to back, is we, at the end, you have both said there's more. It's more than just playing the horn. There's all this other stuff, and the people you're with, and the people that you're around you and that you love and care about, and then if you have that, then the horn just becomes an extension and more. It's not really all about playing the horn, but for me, I got my daughter, and I'm good. Or all my kids, and so
yeah
uh
man.
can you believe we've been at 58? We're almost at an hour already.
What?
Yeah. I know.
Shit, man.
Both you and John got me crying, man. I gotta tell you, I was really trying not to cry,
but it's for a good reason, Jeff. This is good. Okay. Listen, I don't care if I cry anymore. I used to be embarrassed, man. This is just, I don't know, man. I don't care anymore. I really
Yeah.
don't.
Well, my daughter Mackenzie, and I've said this this, by the way, is the third week. This is the anniversary of my meltdown night when I came on and I did a live stream, just me crying, talking about my story. And
Oh, yeah.
this is how I'm going to, get myself involved.
Mm.
And I was mentioning, I cry at everything. And Mackenzie and I went to see the last Star Wars movie, right? Rise of Skywalker. And we're sitting at the end. I'm like, Mackenzie goes, "Are you crying?"
Yes, I am.
I'm like, "Yeah, I can't help it." She goes, "I don't understand it." I'm like, "Oh, you got to see the first movie first." Oh man. So yeah, anyway.
It's good, man. I never used to cry because I couldn't. Okay, I just couldn't. There was blockage, and I had to work through the blockage to really tap again back to spirituality. I was blocked completely, all over the place, and I had to do a lot of work to unblock myself, and then now, I cry at everything, and it's okay. It's a human expression, man. There's nothing wrong with it.
Just don't cry at the ball game.
Yeah.
Just on all of these interviews I've been doing, I think I'm at about 36 or 38 interviews now.
Man, that's so cool, man.
And they're all either music or spirituality. And mainly because that's
who you are.
Yeah. And I have, nothing else really to share yet. And they seem to not cross, but really, if you listen to this conversation and others, and then you listen to the guys like David Alt that I've had on, he's going to be on again on next Tuesday. It's almost a regular thing. When you listen to the stuff he talks about and what we just talked about, how music is an energy, it really is the same thing.
It is. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, music and spirituality are like, they go together. They're like fit like a glove, So, well, Steffen, I'm not going to keep you, all night, because Mary, has she listened in on any of this? Did she come?
I think she's downstairs listening to it. Yeah,
Really?
she asked me if it was okay to just like photobomb it for a minute.
Oh, well, there was something. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Is I found a picture of you and Tom Politzer. And I was going to put, wait, I got to throw that up because I'm going to accuse Tom. I got to accuse Tom of photobombing everybody that I interview. and I got this guy from Las Vegas, Jim Buck, and I'm looking through his photos, and Tom and him got a photo somewhere. And I'm like, Tom Politzer? Yeah. And so here I am again. I'm going to put this up where I am. And it's a picture of you and Tom and Mark Russo and playing at the Blue Note. And I'm like, anybody I interview, Tom's got a photo with him somewhere. I think
right.
following me.
Yeah, Tom gets around, man. That's for sure.
I just had to throw that out there. So anyway,
he's cool, man. I love Tom dearly, man. He's cool.
Yeah, he's a funny guy, and he's a good friend too. So anyway,
yeah.
I'm going to end it up, and what I'm going to do is pick a song off of this new CD you got that we can play everybody out to.
Let's do Through the Fire, man. The Shaka Khan thing. That sounds really good. Okay,
so I'm going to pull that up. We'll start it, and then I'll do my normal ending, and we'll kind of wave goodbye to the people. And after I close it out, if you're still on, we can have a little bit more of a talk.
Okay, sounds good to me.
and I can see love so dangerously.